You know, the reality is we wouldn't know half of the Biden family corruption if it wasn't for Hunter Biden and that infamous laptop. Well, Hunter Biden knows what a mistake it was to leave it behind at that computer repair shop. And now he's trying to sue anyone that had anything to do with releasing that information out to the public. One of those people is a former Trump aide. He's now an independent journalist, currently facing a lawsuit from Hunter Biden. Garrett Ziegler is with us. He is our guest, as well as the vice president and legal counsel representing Garrett Ziegler with Advocates for Faith and Freedom. Our friend Mariah Gondeiro is with us. Mariah, Garrett, it's great to have you both on the program. Garrett, let me start with you first. What did you think when you got this lawsuit? Because you didn't steal the laptop. You just put some of the information out for people to look at.
Yes, it's absurd what's happening, partly because so many outlets have this exact same device that we do. I think it's just a matter of Hunter being particularly mad at us and lashing out. This is just emotional at this point. Their actions are not tethered to reason in any way. The sad part, though, is that it's costing our small group a lot of money to adequately defend ourselves. And so this case is completely without merit. We didn't hack into anything. The device was completely air-gapped, but the facts don't bother them.
Do you think this has to do with, and I want everyone to know, you used to work for a very good friend of mine, Peter Navarro, who was one of Trump's top aides. Do you think that's part of it, the fact that you worked for him? Because he's enemy number one when it comes to the left.
Well, there's some delicious irony in the segment that you started with. You know, my old boss was held in contempt and put in leg irons for contempt of Congress. And his subpoena was from an illegally constituted committee. There were no Republican-approved people on that committee. I pled the fifth in that committee because I didn't think it was legitimate, but I did go in there. The point is that thereafter, every single person who distributed the contents of this, Steve Bannon has been charged. Peter Navarro is charged. Miles Guo is sitting in a concrete box in New York City right now. So this is just their special treat for me, civil lawsuits.
Well, you bring up Miles Guo, one of the founders of New Federal State of China. They just issued down now a superseding indictment. I read through it, 49 pages. Not much facts behind the allegations, but that's probably for another story. Mariah Gondeiro, you're representing this case. You know, I was a former investigative reporter. I have a master's in journalism, which is basically useless. It's the most worthless piece of degree. Luckily, I had a fellowship to get it. Didn't cost me anything. But I studied a lot about media law. And I go back to the Pentagon Papers case, and I'm curious, would that play here? That was a law that says, hey, if you have government documents and you got those documents lawfully, even if they were unlawfully obtained by somebody else, you were in the free and clear because the freedom of the press was so important. Now, this kind of is in no man's land because Hunter Biden's isn't a government document, but it certainly has to do with government. Does that case come into play with your defense here?
Oh, absolutely. They are definitely targeting him, I believe, because he's associated with Peter Navarro and President Donald Trump. But also, like you said, he's exercising his lawfully First Amendment right. He has a right to report on matters of public interest. And I think there is absolutely no debate that anything that involves foreign compromise with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden is a matter of significant public interest. And I think it's just coincidence that we're happening to come into an election year. That's why they're ultimately targeting him, to censor his freedom of speech.
So the great thing about defamation is the greatest defense is the truth. Hunter Biden didn't sue Garrett for defamation here, did he, Mariah?
No, he did not. He sued him under a statutory provisions in California for computer fraud. And he did that because he thinks he can get a favorable result in California, even though we, as one of our defenses, Garrett Ziegler has no jurisdiction in California. He never specifically targeted California, nor did any of the activities occur in California. But as you know, we're seeing this all across this country where we have selective prosecution and people are specifically picking the venues to bring these lawsuits.
Wait a second. So, Garrett Ziegler, do you live in California?
No, no, and I have no family there. I don't. I think I didn't even. I didn't even go there in the time that they're alleging. There's no connection whatsoever. They are hoping for a good spin of the roulette wheel, and they're hoping the judge who was appointed by the plaintiff's father is going to rule in their favor.
Can I ask you, what was the goal in releasing this information? Basically, what you did was put it up in a searchable format. Is that correct?
Yes, and the goal is very simple. We want to create a permanent repository so that other writers, the biggest thing that we've done is we've put it out there so other writers can use it for their own research. There's been over 300 times in the past 18 months where writers from the New York Post, Newsmax, all these other outlets link to specific emails in their stories to be able to corroborate what they're saying. We are providing the primary source for all these other writers, and I think that is why the lawfare is coming to us, because they think if they can shut us down, then it shuts down all this downstream reporting. It's totally disgusting what they're doing, but that is the rationale, immoral as it may be.
Can I ask you on a personal note, Garrett? You're a young guy.
Yes.
What has this been like for you? Hauled in to testify before Congress. You got you got the lawsuit going. What has this been like for you?
I don't think we'll ever have this much primary source material on a sitting first family ever again. There's been, like you said, there's been nothing like this in American history. The guy is in office right now. Usually this type of material, this volume of material is only available after the president's, been dead for 30 years. We know more about the Bidens today than we know about the Kennedys, and he's been gone, for over 50 years now, 60 years. So I think this is a saga that I don't know the end to it, but I'm grateful for Mariah and Bob and other people who have backed us, who stood up for us, and know that this is egregious. These aren't legitimate suits.
Has it been rough for you?
It's been stressful, but that's their whole point. So I have to always remind myself that when I get stressed, their motive is simply to take my mind off of the contents of the device. So I always have to pull myself back. Every minute I spend on lawfare is a minute I'm not spending on going through the contents of the device. And everything, by the way, the reason why this is relevant is the people we see leading the charge right now, like Antony Blinken in Ukraine and all these other people, their stuff is all over the laptop. It's the same group of people, Victoria Nuland, Antony Blinken, et cetera.
Yeah. Garrett Ziegler, I just want to tell you thank you. Because if it wasn't
Thank you
for
very
people
much
like
for
you, I
having
talk
me.
about people being bold all the time. Thank you for being bold and standing firm in all of this. And Mariah, real quick, just to give you the last word here. People like Garrett need a defense. It costs money. That's what your organization is all about. It's sad we have come to this where your organization is so busy defending people on these frivolous lawsuits. I'll give you the last word if you can in just 15, 20 seconds or so.
Yes, we're always looking for support. You can go to Advocates for Faith and Freedom to support us. We also need prayer. We're going into an election season, so we expect that we are going to be pretty busy.
All right. Mariah Gondeiro, thank you. Garrett Ziegler, a
Thank you very much
to you as well. You got it. And I can't wait to have you both on again very, very soon.